All right, 1993. And then I'm going to play a song. What happened, man? What happened for the 93 election?
Well, the shortest answer is basically Canadians reached a conclusion they had reached a couple of years earlier, which is conservative government was bad government. They gave that the benefit of the doubt for a little while when Kim Campbell came on the scene. Because Kim Campbell was an exciting politician. I mean, she was a single woman, spoke her own mind, so much so that she could not follow the script. And took what was an early lead in the pre-writ period and basically reduced it down to 2 seats. I was blamed for a lot of what was going on. I took on first way more responsibility than I should. I wasn't just being the pollster. I was and developing the strategy. I was doing all the advertising, all the communications, and everything else. And that we got about 21 points behind. And we said, look, we got to go negative here. And the weak link in their chain is Jean Chrétien. A lot of people have doubts about whether he's a world leader and whether he's up for the job and whether they really want a guy like him to represent them. And so we did these streeters that were interspersed with pictures of him. And stop there for 1 second. Assume that I am really venal and I am really stupid. Even if you accept those 2 things, you cannot say, I've sat down and said, you're 21 points behind. I know what we should do. We should make fun of his face. Right. That was not our strategy. The strategy was to draw attention to his lack of leadership skills. The Liberals, to their credit, immediately seized on the contrary argument that we're making fun of his face.
But the ad did, pardon me, I do remember this. At this point, I'm now able to vote, 1993.
Right.
First time I got to vote, by the way, 1993 federal election. But I do remember the ad was ridiculing his facial deformity.
No, it wasn't, because it's out of stock footage. I came home. I quit the campaign that day. When they pulled those ads, I said, you know what? I got way more credit than I deserved when things were going well. Now I'm getting way more shit.
That's how it works.
Than I deserve when things are going crappy.
Right.
You're on your own. I quit. And I went home. And I remember my wife saying to me, did you really do that? Did you produce an ad that made fun of Jean Chrétien's face? And sitting on the counter was a Globe and Mail. And on one side of the fold was their picture of Jean Chrétien. On the other side of the fold was the picture we used in the advertisement. And I said, look at these pictures. They're exactly the same. That's the way he looks. We're not making fun of his face.
So there was no... It was a picture of him. There was no text on the screen or words from a voiceover person.
Yeah, there was behind it was what we called streeters, which is where you took people on the street,
right,
and you edited their comments to reinforce your message. And it had people saying, I just don't think he's a world leader. I would be embarrassed if he was representing us at the United Nations,
But you obviously approved this ad.
Yes. And I tested them in focus groups with no one saying, why are you making fun of that guy's face? Not a person.
Well, you should have called me. I would have given you some good advice, Allan. Because seeing the photo, and you're right, Mike, that's how he looks.
But Mike, I say that is the genius of the Liberal response. Post hoc, you could absolutely make the case that we were making fun of his face because his face was what it was.
I felt it at the time.
But no, even as much as I was a mercenary, I would never, ever do that. In fact, I knew Jean Chrétien and liked Jean Chrétien. As we knew all the leaders. I mean, there wasn't that kind of terrible, you're my enemy ethos that you see now. I mean, my best friends on Parliament Hill when I was working there were journalists, members of the New Democratic Party. My partners were both Liberals who had worked for Don Jamieson and Minister of Northern Affairs, and I golfed with them for 20 years after the fact, and it was a different environment.